Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 8 of Two Bad Nerds. This time we're going to talk about the Wii U. I've had some time to play with it, mess around with it, and so we're going to share our opinions. So I hope you enjoy it.
All right, let's start this off with question number one. I'm going to ask you, Danny, to go first, and let's start with your history with Nintendo's home consoles. Can you tell us, your first home console, and go from there?
Yeah, okay. Well, first home console had the NES, way back when, that was all there really was except for Atari.
Hmm.
And it was obviously a great console, had a lot of really good titles, a lot of really good memories on that. Some bad memories, like when it erased my Final Fantasy 1 data, but,
Oh,
you
damn.
know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It wasn't the save system wasn't always the greatest on there.
Right.
So, but then I had Super Nintendo, had Nintendo 64. I've had the GameCube. I've pretty much had every. I've had the Wii U now. I'm sorry, the Wii now. I've had every system Nintendo has come out with, except for now the Wii U. I don't own one yet. But that's what we're talking about. But I've always liked the Nintendo system. They've always had good first party games. Their issue has always been third party. They don't not so much, but the first party stuff that they come out with has always been good.
Mhm.
So I definitely have some good memories of that stuff.
Cool.
What about you?
I did have an NES, and I agree that the save system back in the day really sucked. I mean, blowing on the cartridges. I mean, we all did it. Let's be
Right,
realistic. And then sometimes the cartridge didn't stay down. Whatever.
right,
It had all those issues. But I never really was into gaming as a whole back in the NES days. I just basically sucked at NES titles. I'll be realistic. My brother was better. I would basically watch him play. Um, but we never ended up having Super NES. It's a shame because there's so many good titles that came out of that I never got to play that I'm only now getting to play because of Virtual Console. But so we skipped that one. But I did have an N64, of course, for Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I mean, come on. Then had a GameCube for only a little bit of time. Didn't have that for that long. That system, unfortunately, didn't do too well, and it didn't last very long in the market. So only had
yeah,
that for a little bit of time. And had a Wii. Had a Wii once, sold it, then got a Wii again. And still have it. And then I currently have the Wii U. So yeah, I definitely am into Nintendo, as you know. I guess you can call me a Nintendo fanboy, but not totally because I do, I'm more realistic when they do something that's not right. I will
right.
be one of the first to admit it. And a fanboy, thinks Nintendo pisses gold or something.
It's all
But
rainbows and
yeah, rainbows and unicorns. No,
there
it's
you go.
not.
Yeah,
It's
that's the
not.
one I was looking for.
Yeah. But okay, so there's my history. So now let's talk specifically about the Wii U. How about we talk about what your impressions about Nintendo's Wii U were before you had the chance to mess with the console?
Well, before I had a chance to mess around with it, I kind of looked at the games and the titles they had, and for me, there was nothing that I was really standing out. My favorite games on Nintendo consoles were always like Zelda and Metroid, and there wasn't any of those coming out, with the launch of the Wii U. So it was kind of like a pass for me. I wasn't really into it. I just didn't see any reason to buy it. It's $400, and there wasn't, like I said, it just seemed like there was mostly party games and kids games. So I had very little interest in it.
Okay. Me, on the other hand, again, I was really interested in Nintendo, so I saw it for the positive. I'd be like, oh, this is first time Nintendo's into the HD era. You know what I mean? To me, they were in a good position because their Wii was more focused on motion, and Nintendo, I just want to be specific, Nintendo is always focused on game experience as opposed to being the highest tech point.
Right,
That's the competitors' problem. That's what they focus on, and that's not a bad thing, but not everybody has to be the same way. You know what I mean?
right,
At least my opinion. So Nintendo's worried about experiences. So originally, when I heard about the gamepad, I was a little hesitant. I'm like, okay, what the heck is this thing going to do? You know what I mean?
right.
Is it a gimmick, basically? Is it a gimmick?
Yeah,
But the more I researched about it, now this is even before I touched it. I just kept on researching about it. I went to their websites. I looked online, and I understood what they meant as far as these different experiences that you could only achieve with a second screen.
Hmm.
So that got me really intrigued. And again, they have better an internet now. They're having social site called Miiverse that seemed really intriguing. And then, just to see basically Mario and Metroid and Zelda, all and stuff in HD. I mean, that's exciting enough to somebody who loves past franchises to be able to see your favorite franchises in HD. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Gotcha.
that's one thing. So next question would be, let me try to think of a good one for you here.
Well, I
What?
mean, I can let's go to what we think of it now that we've actually had some time to you know
Okay, go ahead. Y'all let you
mess around
start
with
that
it.
one then.
I mean, you invited me over your house. I got to play. We did a
Hmm.
bunch of party games. I forget what was it called.
It's called Nintendo Land, is what we
Nintendo
actually
Land.
played. Yep.
Okay, we did Nintendo Land, which is like a variety pack of like
Hmm.
Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing, a couple different games.
The main
You know,
franchises.
right, right. Nintendo's first party stuff.
Hmm.
Um, So, again, at first I was like, well, you're handing me a Wii controller. Okay, I've done this
Hmm.
before. This isn't really anything new. So
Uh-huh.
I have this at home. What's different about it?
Hmm.
And I played some games with the Wii controller, with the party games, and I was like, okay, they were fun. We had four
Hmm.
people, and that was a lot of fun. But I was like, it's not. I wasn't blown away. I was impressed because I'm doing things that I'm already doing on a Wii.
Right.
So, but then when I got to try the pad, that opened up like a whole new thing
Hmm.
because now I'm doing things on the pad that the other people can't see.
Right.
So, like for Luigi's Mansion,
Hmm.
I was the ghost. So, I'm trying to capture the Luigis, and they had to find me, and all that. And that was really cool. You really had this sense of like stalking an opponent,
Yeah.
that you can't get when you're all looking at the same screen because they can see where you're coming from. You know,
Exactly. Yep.
and then the other good example was even the running game where you have to chase one guy around. I mean,
Yep.
something so simple and so silly was really entertaining. Just watching the three guys try to capture the one guy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That was called Mario Chase, and that was
Mario
really
Chase.
fun. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was definitely and the people that are on the same team are all yelling out, "Oh, he's in yellow, he's in blue."
Hmm.
It's so you kind of got to work together because one alone can't catch them.
Hmm.
Um, And then the other one I really liked was the Animal Crossing was fun, which I didn't think I was gonna like
Yes.
that at all.
Right.
It just looks dumb, it looks like a kid's game, but it was really addictive, because you start off really fast, but as you collect stuff, you get really really slow because you get bogged
Hmm.
down. But you got this, these dogs are after you. You got to run, So do you give up some of the stuff you have, or do
Hmm.
you, just try to tough it out? So no, I was really impressed. Like I thought that was a lot of fun. Playing with the four people and getting, really into that multiplayer versus, type atmosphere where it gets really competitive because
Hmm.
you know, one person doesn't have an advantage over anybody else. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, I agree with the same what you're saying. I mean, the game pad itself like really comes to light when you play these party games, especially Nintendo Land, because you get to see what's the difference. Like you were saying, you know what I mean? One person's looking at a screen, looking at something totally different than everybody else, and it just makes it like that much better. And then
Yeah.
when you were playing Animal Crossing and you got to play as the dogs, you kind of felt at home because with the dogs you got to use the two analog sticks and you had to
Right.
control them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the way the gamepad is set up, it does have that classic feel of a classic controller, but it's just a little bit bigger. But um, even so, it's not that heavy and it feels very comfortable in your hand. You know what I mean? Again,
Right.
a lot of people see something, it looks weird, and they're like, get away. But the same thing was with the Wii remotes. Originally, people were like, are you serious? I'm going to play a game with a little stick. You know what I mean?
Right.
But once you really got it, you kind of understood what they were going for, especially with the attachment with the nunchuck, it works well in a lot of games. It just works,
Yeah.
So I really like what they did there. And yeah, Nintendo Land is great for party. I know Nintendo is definitely going to be giving us more party games, and right now that's what they excel in, because they get away from that atmosphere that you have to do everything online. They want you to do stuff together, because even though this game could be fun online, it will never be as fun as being in the same room and
Oh yeah.
experiencing it. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
said, calling out for Mario Chase, like, oh, he's in red, he's in yellow, he's going down here, whatever,
Right.
blah blah. You can't mimic that online. I'm sorry, you
Right.
just can't. It's just not as fun.
Yeah.
So that part I really do, enjoy about the Wii U gamepad, and that a lot of their games are trying to do off TV play, because that's another really good feature.
Hmm.
Sometimes we all have, we don't always have a man cave
Yeah.
with someone,
Yeah.
so if you're sharing a main TV and somebody wants to play something, and your partner, your wife, husband, whatever, wants to hop on that TV, watch something, it's like you're kind of screwed. You gotta
Right.
choose, but at least with the gamepad, you can just be like, okay, well, I'll switch it to off TV play. I can play. I can even put a headset, put it right into my freaking gamepad, and I can continue my game. When you're done, I'll put it right up back on the big screen. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's really simple, really fun that way, that they just let you continue. They still want you kind of like in the same room, but you could be doing your own thing. You know what I mean? So,
Right. I mean, yeah.
I,
You're not gonna walk down the block and still play, but still.
right, right, exactly. But it's pretty cool to me. I have a household with like 3 to 4 people at a time, and
Right.
it's nice to be able to be like, okay, well, fine, you go play. You can even play PlayStation for all I care. I'll play my Wii U on my gamepad, and I'll do my thing. So I really like that aspect of it. As far as titles that you would like to see coming to, because you mentioned obviously that currently they have nothing that really interests you. That's why you
Right.
haven't really been like aiming to get the system.
Right.
What would you specifically, someone who's not necessarily a total fan of everything Nintendo has to
Right.
offer, need in order to get a Wii U? Now, this is not in regards to price. This is just in
Right.
regards to software.
The software.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to see another Metroid game. I know the ones that they've had previously were more of a first person, third person type,
Hmm.
shooter games.
Hmm.
I'm okay with that. I like that. I would love for them to go back to the 2D flat style, but I know they're not going to, because that's just not where we're at right now. That's just what I liked in the past.
Hmm.
And the same thing with Legend of Zelda. Just I want to see a new Zelda. I want to see a more of like a Ocarina of Time type Zelda.
Hmm.
The 3D world, being able to interact, maybe more of RPG type elements. Not obviously RPG fighting, but being able to build up your character like Link to the Past had, where you could buy different armors, and the sword would upgrade so many times, and that kind of thing. A big expansive world that you could play around in, and also if it had the ability for people to come in and help you, that might be cool. I mean, maybe, probably not 4 people, but if you could have one other person in there, that would be kind of cool. If Link had like a partner or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, games like that, even a Castlevania, I know they haven't done that kind of thing for a while, but again, those first party games that Nintendo is well known for. I just want to see some of my favorites. I like Mario. Don't
Hmm.
get me wrong, and I had a lot of fun playing with Mario with you guys, but it's not enough for me to buy a system to just play Mario.
Hmm.
If they come out with Zelda and Metroid, well, then I'm sold. I mean, I'm there. For those 2 games, I would buy the Wii U, but for just Mario, it's just not enough for me right now.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Well, those are big franchises, of course. Most people who even strayed away from Nintendo previously know those titles, and know that now that we have a system that's capable of so much more, it's really time for them to shine and bring us a really good quality, Metroid or Zelda game. Which I'm sure they're working on a
Yeah.
Metroid game. It's just a matter of time when they announce it. Zelda has been announced, but it's still pretty far off in development. The good thing about this, they did say that they are trying to add more elements to it, as far as maybe not completing everything in a set order, like your dungeons and stuff like that. They're
Okay.
going to make they talked about making it the biggest overworld they ever dreamed of. So it's probably going to be huge, which is great.
Right.
You didn't get to play Zelda Skyward Sword,
No.
so some of the stuff you mentioned as far as like upgrading, they have already did that in
Done that.
Skyward Sword, but of course it was done in a subtle way, but it was still like you got to upgrade your shield. You had to get drops from enemies in order to make this or make that and get this and that and up, like I said, upgrade your shield. You got to upgrade your sword, and you got to get like potions and stuff like that that you could upgrade too. So they do have like that basic base down.
Right.
Now they just need to go all out and go crazy with it, because that, I agree, would make a great Zelda. The more
Yeah.
stuff you can do, I mean, you want something you can immerse in. They also talked about with Zelda that they are looking into multiplayer,
Okay.
as far as how can they do this with somebody. They didn't get into much detail at all because it's way far off, which is why they're currently redoing Zelda Wind Waker HD, which is coming out this year, to
Okay.
kind of settle the fans, you know what I mean, saying that we are
Yeah.
working on what you want, but they're trying to make it good. And the one thing great about Nintendo is they really don't pull out crap. When
Right.
they
Right.
when they put out games, whether you like it or hate it, the game itself is well done. Very, very few of them ever have glitches. You know what I mean? Stuff
Right.
like that usually is not found in a Nintendo first party title.
Right.
So that's definitely good. As far as what I'm looking for, definitely a Zelda. Metroid, I never really dove into. You were talking about the flat style. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Those Metroids I suck at. I mean, I have them, some of them on my 3DS, and I just suck at them. I just got the Metroid that came out for SNES. I got it on Virtual Console on my Wii U, and I
Okay.
watched somebody else play for most of it because I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna get pissed off that game. Yeah, you know what I mean? It
That's a
looks,
great game. Super Metroid. It's a great
yeah,
game.
it looks great. It's still held up really nice, the
Yeah.
graphical style and stuff like that. But I'm just not a total fan of that. I would rather the newer style, like you were talking about, like maybe like third person, I guess. Can you
Yeah.
kind of
It's
see
like
like,
it's like switches back and forth between third and
yeah,
first.
yeah, exactly. I would rather see that. I can probably tell you I would get into those type of games if it was Metroid heading that,
Hmm.
thing. So I'm really interested to see what they do there. Um, as far as what else I would like to see, well, Smash Brothers, definitely. I mean, I've been wanting to dive into Smash Brothers again for a while, but it's just like at this point, I'm so used to like fighting games like Super Street Fighter
Yeah.
4 or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
So
Totally
the
different.
the quality of game that I'm used to is not present for me on the previous titles of Smash Brothers. So
Right.
I'm like, I'll just wait till the new one comes in. But I know that's going to be amazing, and I'm sure it's going to turn a lot of heads as well. Um,
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart, you're absolutely right. Well, the Mario Kart for Wii was a little disappointing because they decided to go ahead and make it a game of chance instead of a game of competition and skill.
Mm.
So they had like certain power ups that would just like even the playing field, but too much. So
Too much. Yeah.
even if you were like doing your best, like doing all the shortcuts and stuff, everybody else would get blue shells and you get hit 5 times. No, seriously.
Yeah.
And that's what it was geared towards, like to make everything even. And it's like,
Right.
well, then serious people who like racing games and competition can't get into that game because all you want to do is make this game just about being random. So
Right. Yeah.
it
The
took,
what do they call it? Rubber banding. When
yeah,
they bring everybody together.
yeah, it takes the fun out of it.
Yeah.
What they really should do is like have an option for that, make it that, okay, they have that rubber band effect or they don't, like for
Right.
serious gamers or if you go online, you know what I mean? So they really need to work on that. They did a better job with Mario Kart 7 for 3DS, so I'm sure they're going to pull some of that good stuff, like as far as customizing. Like I like that. I want to be able to
Okay.
customize my wheels, my
Yeah.
cart, stuff like that. That continue.
Yeah.
And I would like that, like the elements of going underwater and gliding through the air. All that stuff is good stuff, but they just need to work on making it, allowing competition and not make it
Right.
so.
Make it a little
Just,
more serious.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, it's in HD. Come on, you can do more.
Yeah, I mean the original. I'm trying to remember when I played it on Super Nintendo. I remember that game being really hard. Like it was the computer was like unforgiving in that game. You had to be really good
Hmm.
and nail. You had that little hop where you could use to cut the corners and do the
Hmm.
speed boost, and you really had to know how to do all that stuff in order to have a chance. against the computer. And there was no blue shell back then. They didn't
Mhm.
have these things that would help you catch up. Once you got behind, you were behind. You weren't going to catch up unless you were good enough to get back up. So yeah, I hear you. I really wished they make it a more serious racing game. I say serious. It's Mario Kart. It's not
Right.
it's not Forza or Gran Turismo, but
Right.
you know what I mean. But like at least give it
But they
a
could.
challenge.
But they could if they want to be really in a gamer's mind, not as just a kid's title. Then
Right.
they need to do that for their own benefit, so that
Right.
this game, because it's going to be online, of course, so that you have people wanting to spend hours online daily. You know what I mean? You have these
Right.
competitions and stuff going.
Yeah.
That's what keeps people coming back. So I really hope that they decide not to make this just a party aspect, or give us just the option. Just give
Right.
us the option of turning that crap off. Make
Yeah.
it competitive for people who want competitive. Make it easygoing for people who want it easygoing. That's
Yeah.
all they
Have
need.
an arcade mode and then have like a sim mode. You
Yeah,
know. Um.
I
You know.
think that would work.
It would definitely be a lot better.
Yeah, and of course, for me, I don't know if you played as far as other titles that I would like to see. There, the Mario Galaxies were one of the best games that came to the Wii. First of all, they looked amazing, and they weren't even HD. They looked amazing. I played the first one. I never got to play the second one. I saw a lot of like videos of it. It
Mhm.
looked amazing as well. There was just other aspect with Yoshi being in there. But the next 3D Mario, I hope it lives up to what the current Mario standards is. 3D Mario game
Mhm.
standards are, because they got a lot. Those games are amazing. People like yourself, unfortunately, missed out on it because I more focused that the Wii didn't have anything to offer you, because it was more about like motion.
Right.
And I understand that, that a lot of gamers
Turn
were
off for some people.
turn off, thinking that everything is in regards to that, which it really wasn't. You just had to find what worked for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's another good thing I like about the Wii U in the current world of next generation gaming consoles, is that the Wii U is basically completely backwards compatible.
Mhm.
So you want to bring your library, or you like yourself, I
Right.
mean, I know you have a Wii, but
Yeah.
once you see some other titles that come out maybe for Wii U, you may want to take a step back and be like, well, I never tried this title. And you may come to realize that, these titles were really good. It's
Right. Right.
just because, you got that, what is it called? A stigma, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's one thing, Nintendo, I feel, hasn't done a real good job of is marketing their games and their systems to everyone.
Hmm.
I mean, they create awesome games, but I don't think they always correctly, market it. And they make it a little harder for people to know about it. Like you really have to do your research to know about it. It's not out there in front of you. And I think if they maybe thought about other ways to bring about to talk about their titles, in places where people who are normally serious gamers would see and be like, oh, you know what, that does sound interesting. Like I should look into that.
Hmm.
But the Wii unfortunately got that stigma early on that it was more of a kids type game system, and Nintendo didn't, in my opinion, Nintendo didn't really do a lot to dissuade people from that line of thinking,
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
and maybe that was, that was something they should have worked on, and hopefully that's something that they continue to, address with the Wii U is that, we can cater to everybody, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, now you're right. Back in the time of the Wii, they had a very horrible time reaching out for. They basically, Nintendo had a hard time reaching out for help for anyone. They wanted to do everything in house, and they got themselves into this corner that they decided to do like the user interface in house, or internet. Everything was done
Yeah,
in house, and because they didn't seek help from people who were comfortable in this line of like internet and stuff like that, they were their information was like in a bubble. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like when you were on the Wii, it was like convoluted to try to get this information, and there was Nintendo wasn't really like on social networks and stuff like that.
right,
Only when the 3DS came out is when they started to change. Now they have a dedicated YouTube channel. They're on Twitter. They're on Facebook. They're reaching out. They've definitely changed their way of thinking. They knew they had to. It was
right,
just a matter of time. It's like they need to be in that public eye. They have not done originally with the Wii U's original release, a great job having people understand what's different about the Wii U, because it carries that Wii name, like you said. It still has that stigma for people. They think it's
Right.
a kid's thing. When they first came out with it, people basically thought the Wii U was just an accessory to the Wii, which was the
Right.
gamepad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't really understand that the Wii U is a whole brand new system that can do a lot more than the Wii is capable of. You know what I mean?
Right. Right,
So,
because when you watch that commercial that they launched with, with the people playing the Wii U in different little boxes, they're using Wii remotes.
mhm.
So you see that and you're like, oh, well, it's a Wii. It's just got a pad with it too. Like there was no distinction, between what's a Wii and what's a Wii U.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think they're getting better now. You know what I mean? They basically had to. They learned their lesson too. It's like, you have to tell people they decided to keep the name Wii instead
mhm,
of making something different. Because if they would have came out the box with a different name,
right,
then it would have been a clear distinction in people's mind that this is a brand new console, this is a brand new something. You know what I mean?
right,
But they kept Wii and they added a U to it, so it's very confusing to the general consumer.
right,
But the positive parts of the way they did to, why they kept the name Wii, which makes sense to me, is because, like I said, that backwards compatibility, that whole thing that if you already have a Wii and you have maybe 3 or 4 remotes, don't get rid of them because they'll work for your Wii U for
right,
multiplayer. So you don't have to go and spend extra $50 a pop on all these controllers and all this other accessories. You have this stuff to go. If you have a Wii Fit board, that's going to be that's compatible with the Wii U, because they're coming out with a newer version that's going to use that too. You know what I mean? They have
right.
all this stuff that you already have that you can use here as well, which is a great thing. Not any other console really can say that. Besides,
No.
I guess the PlayStation Move can say that because you can use that with the new one too, but not nearly as
Right. Now,
you
the fact
know
that you could use all those accessories with the next iteration is something that most companies don't even try to do.
Right, exactly. But you can, and they encourage it too, because most of their, like we said, our multiplayer that we were playing, I mean, one had the gamepad, the other people had the Wii Motion Plus and the accessory for the Metroid one,
Right.
and you know what I mean? All that stuff is compatible, which is, to me, is always, these are positive stuff for people. So they're saying, okay, you
Yeah.
invested in the Wii, you have it. It might be collecting dust, maybe, I don't know, but if it is, now is the time to dust it off because those stuff are going to work for
Right.
this
Right.
console.
No.
So that's a positive light.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, if they would have, you know, they should have really pushed that.
Hmm.
When the Wii U first came out, they really should have pushed that. Like if you buy this, you've already got several of the accessories, so you're good to go. Just fire it up. Um,
Exactly. Yep.
But again, like I said, and like you said, the name could be a little confusing, but I mean, it made sense why they did it. It's just, to people who don't read IGN or GameSpot or, GameSpy or all those other sites,
Hmm.
if you're just a casual customer, who, let's say you're a parent, you bought the Wii for your kid, well, you see Wii U, again, you just think it's an upgrade. So why am I going to buy that? They already have a Wii, I'll just keep buying
Yeah.
games for that.
Yep. It probably would have been better in the beginning. Right now, I'm used to the name. It makes sense. I get what they're doing about this, whatever. But if they would have came out with two, that could have even solved more of the problems because
Right,
people are used to, okay, this generation's a one. The next version of this is a two. You know what I mean? The
right,
Wii 2, even though it sounds a little cliche, whatever, it may have solved a lot of their problems because more people would have understood it from the get-go that it's the next version of it, not
right.
just an accessory for the current platform.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it, they originally did Nintendo, then they did Super Nintendo. It's a clear distinction. This is
yeah.
Nintendo, Super Nintendo, then Nintendo 64, like they were doing it right.
Hmm.
They had the idea. Then they made GameCube, they were a totally different name, so you knew there was a distinction. And then for some reason they decided, well, we're going to keep it pretty close to the same name, So they definitely went against what they had done before in the past. And
Yeah.
again, that probably didn't help, in people knowing what was, what the product was.
Yeah. So let's talk about price now. The Wii came out with two different prices. It had the basic, which was 300,
Hmm.
and that came with it was a white console only, and it was 8 gigabytes internal memory, and then Deluxe Edition, which was black, and that's 32 gigabyte internal memory, as well as Nintendo Land being coming with the game, and some other accessories like the charger for the gamepad that you can actually stand it up, and also
Okay.
another stand and a stand for the console itself if you want to put it on its side as opposed to like that. So
Okay.
it came with accessories, and that was $349.99.
So for $50 more, you get all that extra stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So what
Now,
did you think about the price at when it first
when it
launched?
first launched, yeah, I mean the price sounds fine. Again, I don't know because I don't have one. As far as saving the games to the hard drive or games taking up memory, I mean, how much memory does a game normally take up on one of these?
It depends if you're looking for a full game or you're looking for downloadable games that come off of the eShop, such as like Virtual Console, like we were talking about, like Super
Right.
Metroid or something like that. Those games don't take up hardly any memory.
Right.
You
But what
know,
about like a regular game, like just a regular full Wii U game?
yeah, that's gonna. I think let's say the one of the games that they had was like what NBA, an NBA game. I
Hmm.
forget one of the most recent ones they have out there. Takes like 20 gigabytes of space.
Wow.
Mhm.
So if you have eight, you're basically,
Screwed.
you're SOL.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I want to discuss that really quickly. Yeah, I think the 8 gigabytes was a bad move. Personally, I think they should just had one stock and came with multiple color options because I I told everybody when I was interested in the Wii, I wanted white. I had my Wii in white. I wanted to continue the trend. I like Nintendo being distinct from the other systems because
Right.
Nintendo is not like them. They're not in the same league as each other. Whether people want to say that as a negative or a positive, I take it as a positive because they try to please the customer in different ways. I'm just going to say it that way, okay?
Right.
But I wanted it in white. The only one that was available in white was that stupid, god awful 8 gigabyte package, and I didn't want that. You know what I mean? I wanted some kind of memory, and I wanted the other goodies. You know, I wanted a game to come with it. I wanted the other accessories that come with it. For $50 more, I'm sorry, you were a fool to get the 8 gigabyte one.
Right,
So
right, definitely. Hey, I mean, I have flash drives, little thumb drives that have more gigabytes than 8 gigabytes. So yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's
really
just.
small.
And I guess the way that they were saying it, you know, they wanted to give the gamer the option. You know, you can of course upgrade. Uh, you can't upgrade the internal memory, but you can add a drive to it. You know, with
Hmm.
an external power source, and you can do that. And they're I guess trying to give the freedom for you to do that and not to bog
Right,
down the price because. You know, obviously, the more that they put into this, the more extra memory that they put, that all would have added the price to go up. I mean, the,
true.
the gamepad itself, you know, to replace it, I think I was quoted like $150 to replace the gamepad.
That's
So
bad, yeah.
just the tech on the gamepad alone is, you know, it's pretty hefty.
Right,
So if they would have just gone crazy and added all this memory and stuff like that, you'd be looking at a really high price system, and that's not something that people look for from Nintendo.
right,
Nintendo is looked for to be affordable.
right.
So they wanted to do something to show that they could be affordable. Do I think currently that they should probably lower their price? I think yes. I think now, I mean, but now I'm going to go for what we've heard with the competition wise because we know
Right.
their pricing. I think now is the best time if Nintendo wants to stay more relevant to go at an even 300 and to make sure that that 300 is also the 32 gigabyte. Get rid of that 8 gigabyte. I'm sorry, I don't think it's working.
Right.
Just offer different color options because some people like colors. I would have bought
Yeah,
a white one, or
I agree.
do a bundle with even if for 325, do a bundle with a game like with the Zelda game that's coming out. People will buy a bundle with the Zelda game, especially if it has a nice decal or something with
Right.
Zelda. I mean, those are the stuff that sell, you
Yeah.
know. So work on your strong suit, work on the different color options and stuff like that. Not, I mean, Sony and everybody else came out with color options way later. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if you from the get-go give people a variety of options, it's going to be looking better for them.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely. How many people, buy different color cases for their phones,
Yeah.
So who doesn't want different colors for their, their game system as well? Systems do that all the time. PlayStation and Sony, PlayStation and Microsoft, Sony and Microsoft, sorry, do that all the time when they do like a Call of Duty special bundle with a special graphic or Gears of War,
Mhm.
Halo, whatever. So this stuff happens all the time. Nintendo could have done, like you said, a Mario bundle, maybe a Animal Crossing bundle. I don't know, something like that. Um, in different colors. And the funny thing, and the thing is, you know they will.
Yeah,
They're
they
just not
will.
doing it now.
Yeah.
They like to, Nintendo likes to slowly bring those things out. They don't like to give you everything at once. You
Yeah.
know, one of the
But
things that kind of drives me crazy a little bit, because you want that right away. No
mhm,
one wants to buy a second console just to have a color. You know,
mhm,
but I understood where they were going with the 8 GB. Maybe there's kids don't aren't going to save the games, so they don't really care about that. And the parent was just like, well, I just want them to play the game. They're only going to have a couple games. It's not a big deal. But like you said, for someone like us who wants to play, their old Wii U games and save them on there, they want to buy games, they want to download games, they want to put the games they have on the hard drive. You
mhm.
know, 8 GB obviously is not gonna do anything for them with that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the smartest option. So I mean, there was talk around the internet that Nintendo was pulling them. I don't remember if I read if that was 100% true or not.
Yeah,
I hope it's true personally that they
right.
just redo them, upgrade that memory, and re ship them out with just give people color options, white or black. There's plenty of people that would like the white. Again, I was really wanting the white one, so oh
Won't let that
well.
one go.
No, I won't. I was pissed as ever. I'm still pissed.
Yeah, oh, I hear you.
But
I hear
anyway,
you.
so E3 is obviously happening. There's stuff going on that we really don't want to talk about here because it's not about this specific video. That's for another thing. I'm hoping that Nintendo goes for the gold, and they show that they have the software, not just with first party, but with third party and indie support. Because like you said before, that's what they were lacking. They were lacking that
Yeah,
third party support. So now that they have better tech, and hopefully that they're reaching out to these third party developers and saying, hey, we're here, we're serious about this, we want your help, we want to make this the best experience possible. Hopefully, it's going to work in their favor. I mean, I know Nintendo's going to hit us hard with first party. I have
right.
no doubt. They
Yeah,
always do. But, people want if someone's doesn't want to get into the other systems yet, especially since they're coming out later, they want to know that they at least when their current system, the Wii U, will have some longevity, that they don't have to worry about the other consoles for now because they had that third party support. They can play their games that they want,
yeah,
like Watch Dogs or something on their Wii U as opposed to getting something else. So
right. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like with what was the Batman game that came out? The Wii U got the Arkham City.
Arkham,
You know,
yeah,
yeah,
Arkham City,
Arkham City.
they got the armored edition or whatever, and
Right,
that's
right. But that which is cool, but again, that was a year after everybody else had it. So, it would be really nice if Nintendo could get some of those third-party games much closer to when everybody else gets them. You know, it would
mhm,
definitely help them to keep for gamers to say, well, maybe that's only I only need is a Wii U. Because gamers want to play Mario, they want to play those other games, but if that's all you have, it can be a tough sell.
yeah,
If all you're offering is a first party, we all know Nintendo's first party games are, number one type games, AAA titles, great titles, but if that's all you're offering throughout the life of the console is just those AAA titles, it's going to be a hard sell, to bring people in.
yeah.
So yeah, I definitely hope they can get, Resident Evil type games,
Mhm.
get those games in when everybody else is getting them, not 6 months, later, because then you lose that because people aren't going to wait 6 months to play the same game that their friends are playing. You
Yeah,
know, they want to play it
yeah.
now.
They want it at the same time that everybody else has it. Yeah, I
Right.
get, I get that. I mean, when the Wii U came out, unfortunately, uh, it came out after some of these games released, and the Wii U, because it was finally the Nintendo had a console that's capable of these type of games, is why they got most of these games later. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because they couldn't those games
Before.
wouldn't work on the Wii, and they
Right.
just wouldn't. It just wasn't powerful enough. It didn't have the online or whatever. So it just put them in a weird place because
Yeah.
now that they finally could get it, they could get this stuff, but they got it late. And now they're getting packages like the Deuce X Director's Cut. I forget what it's by. Is it by Square Enix or something? Deuce
Um,
X.
yeah, I can't remember who makes
But
that.
anyway, stuff like that. I mean, and that
Right.
to me is not a bad thing because you know what I mean. If you're saying that in that case, the developer kind of went back from scratch, they fixed a lot of the issues that they
Mhm.
had with the original release of that game, and they really are making a superior version for the Wii U. That's
Right.
great. I like to see that, but they can't just only rely on that.
Right. Right, because if you're trying to get someone who was a Sony or a Microsoft customer over to Wii U, they already played that game. It came out a year ago.
Right.
So that's not going to sell them on buying a new console. That's you'll sell that game to people who only had a Wii console or a Wii U console, but you're not going to sell it to someone who already had Sony or Microsoft console because they've played it. It's already
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, in most cases, in the very few cases, someone like myself, I've never played those games, so that would be good for me to play, even though I did have Sony. But
Right,
the likelihood, it's just less that
right,
people haven't played those games already, and I get what you're saying with that. So,
yeah,
yeah, so as long as Nintendo really, comes out with a good third-party support, you know what I mean? Then I think they're good to go. I mean, there's going to be haters out there, and I'm sorry, but there's a lot more
there always
Nintendo.
is.
Yeah, but there's a lot more Nintendo haters, and I think even Xbox haters, and I found a lot of them. And I was one of them, but I'm not a hater anymore. I come to realize that every company has their good and their bad points, and not everything's for everyone. But I being more into gaming as I am now, I come to understand competition and come to welcome it. So
Right.
hating is just a bad thing. You don't, I don't like when people hate on Nintendo just because it's named Nintendo. Kind of pisses me off, to be quite honest. But
Yeah.
it's just, why would you hate on it? I mean, if there's good things come from it, Nintendo gave us good things. They gave us different ways to play, and they're constantly doing that. The Wii U is also giving us asymmetric gameplay. You know, that off screen, like doing something different with your screen as opposed to your TV. They're
Yeah.
bringing us different ways to play, and all the other companies are basically following suit. They're following the path that
Trying to
Nintendo
say
paves.
same
So,
thing. Yeah.
but
No,
I
I mean
think,
it's definitely competition breeds ingenuity and originality.
mhm,
If Nintendo or if Sony or whoever was the only console around, the games would all be the same, because there'd be no reason to innovate. There'd be no reason to try new things. They're
mhm,
not going to go outside the box. But because there's three companies all trying to reach the same customers, they really have to distinguish themselves from each other, and that's a great thing. I mean, we live in we're in a great time for gaming right now because, and not even just the three consoles. You have four really if you count PC gaming.
mhm,
Um, so we're in a great time because there's so much new, incredible, crazy stuff coming out, that
yeah,
you can play and experience that, 10 years ago you didn't even think of most of this stuff, like who thought you could be playing, an online game with 50 other people, in the same game, all shooting at each other, doing whatever. Like that
mhm,
was, no one ever thought that would happen, you know. But now, like you said, we have that. We have a second screen with your phone or with a gamepad or with all these different things. You can record videos of what you're showing on the screens. I mean, that's stuff that's unheard of. That's stuff people used to buy like high end, machines to capture this type of stuff, and now everybody can do it. So yeah, like you said, hating doesn't. It's just stupid. Like, enjoy the originality. If you don't like a system, that's fine. Everyone has their own opinion. It's just like anything,
mhm.
just like what phone you like or what TV you like or what shows you like. But appreciate the fact that having the options out there creates new things that you may like, in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give a company their chance to shine. Maybe they'll win you over. Uh, I say that specifically with Nintendo. They're never going to. If you're looking at Nintendo to come out to be a powerhouse, you're looking at the wrong company. That's not what they're about. They're not about being a powerhouse. They've never really been. You know
Right.
what I mean? They've never been. When Sony came to the picture, Nintendo kind of seemed inferior to Sony when they came out because they have all this, brand new tech, and they go after their audiences for a different reason. They really go out to say they want the living room to be a place that you can have fun again. Not that you're always doing everything online. That's one thing that they try to do, get people together. With the Wii, they tried to bring old and young to the living room, and they
Right.
succeeded. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And now they're giving us another way to play games with asymmetric gameplay with that gamepad. They're always doing new things. So take them like that for the positive that they are. Don't compare them directly against the other competition as far as graphics and as far as processors, because it's not always about graphics and processing power. I can tell
Right.
you that.
Yeah.
It's about the experience of playing the game. Is it fun? Is it interesting? Is it unique? You know what I mean? Maybe not for everything. Motion,
Right.
again, it was not for everything, but not all their games on the Wii were motion. people just assumed they were.
Right. Because
So,
that's what you saw in the commercials or the
mm,
advertising was people waving their arms around like crazy. So,
yep. But all right, so we're gonna definitely talk about Nintendo standing with the Wii U afterwards, after E3 finishes. You
yeah.
know what I mean, and after they, bombarded us with the software that hopefully will sell the system, and make it something that everybody wants to get. So, but we'll
Yeah.
we'll, we'll talk about this later. Is there anything else you want to say?
Nope, nope, that's it. So, yeah, definitely after everything was wrapped up with E3, we're gonna go over all the consoles again. So if you're watching us now, definitely tune back later. We'll be posting more videos on our opinions after E3. You know what we thought.
All right. Well, until then, take care, guys.
Huzzah!